Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Thank you all for coming in with me on this Saturday morning. Man-made time of April 9th, 9:40 a.m. Central Standard Time. Just bringing in a powerful message for you from the Most High, also sharing a message inside the message of a personal experience, which also embellishes the message the Most High said to get to my people. And so on this Shabbat, during this time, I am sharing this message. And for you naysayers saying, why is she coming during the Shabbat to share a message? And so for to those adversaries and to those who are going to have something to say about me bringing this message today, I'm going to share scripture with you. So we're going to shut that down too, because this message today has to go forth. I apologize for yesterday because I was actually starting the live yesterday and bringing this message when I had an emergency. And so parts of that I'm going to share with you all, which actually brings this whole message full circle, this whole idea of full circle. For those of you all that know me, it got real. It got real. And so the emergency brought the message and made it real. So those of you all that know me, you hear me say that term all the time. So again, bringing you this message. So thank you for joining me for Exodus chapter 4, day 20. And here in the message, it says, this battle is not a physical battle. So message is going to be come full circle today. Message is going to be made real. And so we're definitely going to get right on into it. And please share the live, please share the information, please come in for comments. Let's just talk about this message. And so this is very important. This is a powerful message for a time like this, for a time such as now, for a time such as no. Because the Most High said, just like in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. Just like it was in the times of no, so should it be again, just as it is now. It was the beginning, and here it is in the end. So it is the same thing. I'm here sharing this message. Please share this information so that all may hear. Most I said, bring this message to my people so all that may hear. And so getting into it right now. And so again, shalom, shalom, and Shabbat shalom. So for the naysayer, let's definitely start with a prayer first of all. Most I thank you for bringing me to this moment. And I thank you for your graciousness and mercy, and also for your favor, for pulling me through, for keeping me, for protecting me through all situations and matters, for helping me to stay in a mindset that helps me to get through matters and adversity, and especially during a time as now. This message that also is coming forth. Please help me to reach out to those that are called and appointed in your service, because they need to hear this message. So please come into the room and come into the spirits and hearts of men and your people, so that they may hear this message today. Hallelujah. So for the adversaries and for the naysayers, I'm going to start with this scripture today, because some of you all are going to question, why is she here on the Shabbat giving this message? So here is a scripture for you. So this scripture is Luke 13. Luke chapter 13, verses 10 through 17. This was about when Yeshua healed the disabled woman. So I'm going to go into this. Oh, let me apologize also too for yesterday. I was bringing the same message forth when something happened, which also it pretty much confirmed and affirmed to me of this message that needed to come forth today, and you'll see why. Because I had an emergency concerning people who are called family, and with the message, um, it just confirmed to me and affirmed the spirits that are out there, the type of spirits that are out there, those that are not of the Most High. It also confirmed to me this battle is a spiritual battle, not a physical battle, and the times that we are in, and who can be affected and who cannot be affected. So let this thing today be made real. So getting back to the scriptures, Luke chapter 13, verses 10 through 17, it talks about Yeshua healing a disabled woman. And so here's the scripture. It reads, one Sabbath, Yeshua was teaching in one of the synagogues, and a woman there had been disabled by a spirit for 18 years. She was hunched over and couldn't stand up straight. When Yeshua saw her, he called over, he said, "Woman, you're set free from your disability." Then he placed his hands on her, and immediately she straightened up and she began to glorify Yah. But the synagogue leader was indignant. He was indignant that Yeshua healed on the Sabbath. He said, "There's 6 days for work," he told the crowd. "So come and be healed on those days and not on the Sabbath." "You hypocrites," the Lord replied. "Does not each of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or donkey from the stall and lead it to the water? Then should not this daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has kept bound for 18 years, be released from her bondage on the Sabbath day?" When Yeshua said this, all of his adversaries were humiliated, and the whole crowd rejoiced at all the glorious things he was doing. So, to the adversaries and to the naysayers, and for those who are going to have something to say about me bringing this message today, first, I'm going to say to you, I'm on a mission from the Most High. Second, I'm going to say to you, if the Most High tells me to speak it, I'm going to speak it, however and whenever it's done. And I shall never be moved. And the only way that I will be moved is if the Most High moves me. And so when the Most High told me to bring this message on the Shabbat, and when the Most High said, "This is the message that I want you to bring to my people so that they may hear," I am here bringing this message. And so I had the confirmations that this message needed to go forth. I got shut down yesterday for trying to bring forth this message. I saw an evil spirit talk to me this morning. Someone was under the influence, and I caught it and picked it up because it wanted to stay hidden. But I picked it up, and it's okay. See, I'm not judging the person. I'm not even mad at the person. But I saw and I heard that spirit, that person being under the influence. This yesterday, all last week, different forms, in different ways. I'm understanding what's going on in this world. There is an increasing evidence. And the only way you're going to recognize any of these things that are going on that are in the spirit is to be in the spirit. You got to be in the spirit to understand these things. Otherwise, it's just another bunch of people acting crazy, right? That's what we want to diminish it to. But we got to understand what's really going on in a time like this. And so the Most High said, my people need to understand what's going on. All things that they see are not as though they think it is. They got to understand. And only way that they're gonna get through this battle is to be equipped with knowledge and information and understanding and recognition. And so it is. And so here we are. So here, this is Exodus chapter 4, day 20. So we're bringing this message today. And so I just need you all to understand this message today is about this isn't a physical battle. You all know that I've been in Exodus, and again, this is day 20. You all know I've been in Exodus for 19 days coming. I'm not even sure. I can't give you an exact date when I started the message, but here I am with the message again today. And so this is Exodus chapter 4. This ain't a physical battle. So let's get on into this message. Let's get on into this message. Thank you all for coming in. Please share the message. Try to acknowledge everyone. Um, but if I don't, I appreciate you for being here. Let's get in, just as long as you're here. And I don't care if it's one or two people or three people or none. I'm still gonna get out and be in my mission because that's what the Most High called me to do, and I'm going to do it. I just hope and pray that, as Most High said, that my people need to hear this message. So please, please share this message. I'm not looking for notoriety. I'm doing the work the Most High asked me to do. So that's what we on today. Okay, that's what I'm always on. And so here, Exodus chapter 4, this ain't a physical battle. Y'all, you know I'm using my slang today. Let me be correct. This isn't a physical battle. So let's get into this message. So on the last few weeks, yesterday, the last week, the last month, the last 2 months, I've been getting these affirmations of this time that we are in. And so prophetically, I heard that there was going to come a time like this, right? And so for me, on a more of a personal level, when we talk about things hitting home, it has come home, right? And it's been close to home. And I also seen it, it's been at home and it's been close to home. And so when I heard about it prophetically, and the word said there's going to come a time, that there's going to come a time when there's going to be a battle, and it's not going to be the physical battle. And when that scripture uh, speaks of um, a war that is going to touch people in high places and authority, right? And it says we battle against we don't battle against flesh and blood. We battle against principalities. And so this Yah's people is that time. And so I got those confirmations. I've been getting those confirmations. And just to hear and understand the scriptures, right? And to have things become real and surreal. It it's it's amazing in a way, but Most High prepared me. Most High prepared me for a time such as this. So stay with me. So to get an understanding. And so when I read the scriptures and studied on the scriptures about this spiritual thing going on in the world right now, I understood that there would come a time that there would be an attack on the spirits, right, and the souls of Yah's people. And so there is a big question, which there's going to be a lot of unveiling and uncovering about that in later lives, but we haven't gotten to that yet. But we've been leading up to that, so keep coming back. But nevertheless, what we're on today and the message for today is talking about this spiritual battle, this thing that's going on in the world right now, and it was prophetically talked about for a time as now. And so here, I understood that as I stated before, but did I get the confirmations that yes, we are actually in that time? And so going through my own um, things that have been happening in my life, and I'll share some of them with you all. And so it's never for pity; it's just for confirmation and to affirm the message that the Most High uh, asked me to put out. And so, um, having gone through recognizing some things that have been going on with me personally in the last week and the last month, as of yesterday, um, it's funny that I picked up my phone one day and I saw a person who I see all the time, right? And what is it when you say I'm not looking for any type of credits or accolades or anything, but I need to mention the person's name that I saw. So I picked up my phone and I often watch Dr. Keenan Bridges. And this is not taking away anything from the Most High mentioning this individual's name, but the reason I mention it because it confirms the message today. So nevertheless, Dr. Keenan Bridges, I picked up my phone and I saw one of his lives. And when I picked it up, it was right on time. And so one of his lives is called The Battle is in the Spirit. And this live was dated January 14, 2021. And as you all know, I always tell you all where you can go and affirm and confirm and study to show yourselves approved. I always say, don't listen to me. Go look up the information. And so here again, Dr. Keenan Bridges, he did a live called The Battle Was in the Spirit, and it's dated January 14th, 2021. And so I started to watch that live. And as I'm watching the live, I'm like, man, this is what I'm going through right now. And when I say I'm going through, wasn't I had went through some things on a more personal, intimate, direct level, but people around me going through these things, right? And so I was able to, um, you know, it was direct to me. I thought this message was for me. And so as I began to listen to the message, I shook my head because I'm like, yeah, Most High wanted me to get this message. And so oftentimes the Most High will send those calling appointed for your support and for your backup and for confirmation. And so when I opened up my phone, I believe that the Most High said, I'm affirming here. This is exactly what's going on in your life right now. And so here I'm sending this brother, I'm sending my son to confirm. Yes, that is what's going on. Okay, so let me keep going. And so look up Dr. Keenan Bridges live. And so then another day I picked up my phone, right? And this you all are gonna this is another individual that is trying to walk in the spirit and stay correct, right? Remember, I said when I started this message is also for those who are called and appointed because they're struggling right now with this thing that we're talking about today and these things that go on in the world. And because they're trying to take this walk and do the right thing, right? And progressively increase in the spirit, they're under attack, right? And so this message is also for these individual people as well. And so I saw on a different day, I saw Nas, and he was doing an interview with someone. And so I didn't even know this, right? And I want to be correct. So if I don't want to be misquoted, but from my understanding of the interview, and from what I got, the gist of the interview was that Nas apparently had built a relationship with the Most High, and the person that was interviewing him was saying he was a pastor, and he was, I guess, in a way correcting them. That was my opinion from the interview that I was watching. And the topic of the matter that I did see, the part that I did see, was that the person was saying, well, when people are coming at you, you are expected to react a certain way because you say that you're walking in the spirit. You profess your work. You're a pastor. And so when people come to you and they come a certain way, you're supposed to act out of love and not out of aggression. And so this was the topic of the conversation, the interview. And so Nas reacted, right? And so a lot of us who are called on a mission, and a lot of us who are called um, and to do the work, right? And whatever we're doing, people expect that if they come at you in all kind of sorts of crazy manners, that you're supposed to react out of love and turn the other cheek, and you have no human inclinations and you have no human emotions about certain things. So there's an expectation that you're supposed to take the abuse because you say you're walking in the spirit. And this is a common matter. This happens all the time. This is a subject matter that never goes away because Yeshua himself dealt with this. Just imagine this topic alone. If Yeshua had the power that the Most High um, is supposed to put in him, right? If Yeshua had has the power that Yeshua claimed, Yeshua could have turned this world upside down just out of aggravation. That is not what happened. Yeshua came into the world in a physical man. So the powers could have been, and I'm just speaking on my assumption of my opinion now. Could it be, or could it have been that instead of reacting with godly strengths and powers, stayed in the realm of the physical man, and so with the physical man didn't react with the powers of the physical man that he was, right? Because even as we heard in the word, when Yeshua was being crucified, Yeshua said, Father, they know not what they do, right? Now, I'm going to tell you all that even this morning I had a conversation with an individual that I care about. I was called the N word. Some things were said to me kind of sideways. I could have reacted, but I was wondering, like, well, what's going on? Why is this person talking to me like this? And I could have reacted. I could have reacted a certain way, right? But the thing was, the spirit was on me at the time. And I'm like, nah, that's not this person. It was a spirit. The person was under the influence of the spirit. Because how could you just out of the blue just be kind of mean, sideways remarks when nothing happened? So that demon was revealing itself to me, let me know it was there, right? And it comes in all forms of fashion and in people. And so when you walking in the spirit, for those that walk in the spirit and doing the work, and even those that are not, anyone, any person that is progressively trying to work on themselves, trying to stay in the spirit, especially those that are doing the work, you're under the attack more. And everybody as a whole, you gotta understand that during this time of now, during this time of know that these spirits, these demons, these things are gonna increase for no reason at all because they're coming to do the work of Satan. They're coming because they're trying to block your blessings. They're coming because they want to provoke you. They're coming because they're stopping you from getting to the place we're supposed to go to and we won't possess the land that we're supposed to get to. They're coming to take as many people with them because they already know their time is about to end. Right? So they come to take as many. So they're doing all kinds of works and they're on all kind of missions and trying however your weaknesses and your deficiencies are, that's how they're going to try to meet you. So understand, yes, people, understand you, God, right? Understand those who are called to do the work. And even just the person, I don't want to say you're common, but if you're not doing the work and you're just a person, right? And you're just a good person and you're working on yourself and you're trying to understand this word, that you're going to be under attack because Satan and Satan's followers don't want you to get to the other side. They don't want you to get to the promised land. They don't want you to be on this live today. They don't want you to understand the word. They don't want you to understand that in the beginning was the word, and so should it be to the end. And the word is the living water and it's giving you, it will give you life and understanding and instructions. Okay. And so they've come in all forms and fashions because they don't want you to understand. They are also the same ones who confused you, who conditioned you, who put those people in leadership in the churches and gave you misinformation. They didn't want you to understand these scriptures. Yes, there are some of them, they changed some of the scriptures. They did. If people tell you they didn't, they're a liar. They did. Some of the scriptures were changed. They did it because they didn't want you to get to the truth. Most High put me on this mission to bring light and bring truth. I don't need anyone telling me that I'm a woman and I'm not supposed to be preaching. You right, because I don't preach. Most High called me on a mission to teach, to bring understanding, and to bring light. And that's what I'm doing right now. We're going to keep going in this word. Get back to the interview with Nas, right? And so Nas, this lady that was interviewing him, she was saying these things to him, like, you're a pastor. And so apparently it seems that they were talking about some incident that Nas had. And he had already professed that he was walking in the spirit doing the work. And so they were speaking on this incident. And so Nas responded to the lady. He said, just because I've chosen to have a relationship with the Most High doesn't mean that I'm not human and cannot react to aggression. I'm going to repeat that statement. Just because I've chosen to have a relationship with the Most High does not mean that I am not human and cannot react to aggression. So people need to stop thinking that because a person has professed publicly that they are walking in the spirit and doing the work of a calling, that they should take abuse of any kind. First thing people want to say is, oh, you're a pastor, oh, you're this, oh, you're that, because you react to the aggression. I'm human. I don't equate myself to Yeshua. Yeshua was human also when they were trying to flog him, crucify him, spreading gossip, doing all these things to him, right? I've had this, I make this statement, I'm gonna make this statement I made probably 3, 4 times in the last week. People don't understand this. People have this thought, right? This thought, well, God, the God of Christianity is love, right? And it's all pure love. And when we think about God, we're supposed to have this feeling, oh, this euphoria and all of that. And we are. But also, if you read the word and you understood the scriptures, the Most High said, I'm a jealous God. The Most High said, I hate Esau. Most High spoke of times when the Most High said in different scriptures, and Google it, I said, I hate certain things. When the Most High understood that there were people who were of an inherent evil, the Most High sent those as on their mission to go and terminate the people, these particular people. Terminate them to the point that there was nothing left, not even a fiber. Why would a God of love do that? Why? People come to question. Well, if God is love, right? They didn't say Yah, by the way. Hello. But they said if God is love, then why would God do that? Why would God say kill people? Why does God say hate? See, people didn't understand this particular scripture, right? So let me tell you what it is. And the Most High said, I made man in my likeness. I made man in my likeness. The only thing they want to think of is the physical form of the man. Or we look like the Most High. We were made up with arms and fingers and head and all of these things like the Most High. When the scripture said the Most High said, I made man in my likeness, the man also inherited the emotions as well. Here is my assumption on that, is that if that's true, and we inherited the emotions of the Most High, anger, jealousy, right? Not jealousy, jealousy, then we possess those because we exemplified the Most High, right? Here's the difference. Is it perhaps the Most High can balance their emotions better than the human man, the human person can? And nevertheless, if the Most High created us and exemplified us from the Spirit, then they made us with the Most High made us with those emotions, then perhaps the Most High has better control of those emotions than us. Think about that aspect. As people seem to forget, or they don't understand, when the Most High said, I made man in my likeness, we ended up possessing all of those attributes as well, right? And so I'm saying to I'm saying to everyone in general, and especially those that are called into the mission, during this time where there is a spiritual battle, you will have adversaries. You're going to have people come at you for no reason because they see who you are. And I'm saying it's specific to those that are called and appointed for the work, and you're on different types of mission. Because your mission, everybody's mission ain't to teach. You you might have been called to do some other things. But see, Satan and Satan's followers, right? Satan's children, they can see your light. So they coming for you. You're gonna be under attack more because of the time that we're in. And even if you're not called into any missions right now, or you don't even understand your mission right now, that's okay too. Okay? Because you were made to come into this matrix for your mission. So you may not understand it right now. But if you're just a person, a human person, and you're trying to get your spirit right, you're trying to upright yourself, you're trying to connect with the Most High, and you're trying to just get your life right, you're under attack too. Because see, the purpose and the plan of Satan's is for you not to do those things. So yes, you're gonna be under attack too. And this is what I'm gonna say to everyone, that if you're not doing something right, the Satan don't need you or want you. Keep that in mind. Let's get back to this word. So get into the scriptures now. So this word, this message is gonna come full circle. All right. And so here we're gonna start. We were talking about Daniel's dreams, right? And so we're still talking about that today. We started in Daniel chapter 8. All right. And so Daniel's dreams were prophetic for a time such as now. So Daniel had these dreams and these visions, which weren't for that time when Daniel was having these dreams. They weren't interpreted for those times. They were interpreted for this time. So it was what was for the time of now. Daniel's dreams were interpreted for this time. Okay. So let's get into this. Daniel chapter 8. So, in the previous days, I talked about some of Daniel's dreams. One of the dreams I talked about was when Daniel had the vision of the ram and the goat. And so I broke down who was the ram interpreted, who the goat was interpreted to be. And I broke down in previous days um, the interpretation of that dream. And so we're going to revisit that again today. If you all want to see that, go back to Exodus chapter, my lives, Exodus chapter 4, day 17, 18, and 19. Go back and look at them. It's on live and it's also on YouTube. Alicia Anani Elda. Okay. So go back and look on. If not, you can always holler at me, email me, call me. I'm always here for service. So let's get back to Daniel's vision of the ram and the goat. We're going to talk about this again. So, in the third year of King Belshazzar's reign, I, Daniel, had a vision after the one that already appeared to me. In my vision, I saw myself in the citadel of Susa, S-U-S-A. Make sure you are taking notes and writing this stuff down. I saw myself in a vision in the citadel of Susa in the province of Elam, E-L-A-M. Look it up. When these places I mentioned specifically, it's for a reason. Where is Elam, E-L-A-M? Where was it during biblical times, biblical history? And where is Elam now? You got to understand something. Or where is Susa, S-U-S-A? What was it called back then and what is it called now, or where is it? You got to understand something. A lot of information, dates, times, places were changed as part of the conditioning, so you wouldn't know the truth. So when you go and study and research, keep following the information. Keep following the information that's out there. Yes, there is some erroneous information out there, but keep following it and put all the common information together and look into that information, because this information was covered up. It was veiled. And so you got to be connecting dots if you're going to get this information, because sometimes it's blatantly put there and hidden in plain sight, and sometimes it's not. And this is what I will tell you all. Nobody knows everything. No one. Only the Most High. People want to argue and debate all day about these scriptures and the information and the interpretation, right? The only way that you can understand these scriptures and correct interpretation is just as the word said, precept by precept. Break it down. Read a sentence. If you don't know a word that's in there, look it up. What did the sentence say? What was the place they were talking about? That's the only way you're going to know these scriptures. You don't need anyone to tell you. If you can read, you have a brain, you can interpret. Now, will we all interpret the same sentence? No, we won't. Because our interpretation is based on our perception. Our perception is based on our conditioning. Our condition is also based on socialism. So all these words I'm throwing at you, but it's the truth. That's why when the Most High said, my people were ingrained into the places that they were sent. Some of them even became like the people that and the places that they were were enslaved and bonded in. And so when that happened, some of them lost their way, and some of them lost their selves, and some of them became so lost, never to become who they were intended to be. Don't you all think that's happening right now? Who do you know that don't even know who they are? Who do you know that's an identity crisis? Who do you know that refuse to believe when they look in the mirror that they are who they see? This is the thing that I'm talking about right now. We're gonna keep going in this. All right, so we were talking about Daniel having a vision of being in the citadel of Susa in the province of Elam. Now, how do we interpret this vision? So while Daniel, was watching the vision and trying to understand it, therefore, before me stood one who looked like a man. I heard a man's voice calling from the Ulai, Ulai. There is a place called the Ulai, you all. Again, I'm going to say this to this was Daniel having this dream. It was prophetic for a time such as now. Here was Daniel seeing, he was sitting by this canal, which exists right now. It's actually called the Ulai. And here he saw this man standing by this, he was standing there, right? Um, and then this man was standing there with him, and the man was calling him. Right here, the man's voice calling from the Ulai, saying, Gabriel, tell this man the meaning of the vision. As he came near the place where I was standing, I was terrified and I fell prostrate. Son of man, he said to me, understand that the visions concerning these visions you are having concerns the time of the end. This thing is kind of full circle. Here was Daniel. He was standing by the canal, and he heard a man's voice calling him, right? And they named someone named Gabriel, right? Giving an order. This man's voice was saying, Gabriel, calling from the canal, right? And then this other man was standing there. It wasn't the man's voice that was calling, it was another voice, right? And so this man was giving instructions to Gabriel to tell the man what his vision means. And so here was Daniel standing near this canal, this place that exists right now, right? Because we are in the end times. And then the Most High said, or this man said, I'm going to interpret your vision and what it means. So this angel, right? This man, whether he was an angel or not, I won't get ahead of myself, started showing Daniel these things. So let me give some information to you I found in the research. Remember, I said whenever specific names and titles, pronouns are mentioned, you need to understand why it's mentioned, right? Because otherwise, the scriptures just say things generally. So when Susa, S-U-S-A was mentioned, this is also called Shushan, S-H-U-S-H-A-N. Some may pronounce it Shushan, but it's also called Shushan, right? In Greek terms, it's called Susani, Greek Susani, and another name is called modern day Shush, S-H-U-S-H. It's also the capital of Elam. Remember, in Greek, it's called Susiana, Susiana. So they associated this place. This is the same place. Remember, I said they changed the names over and over and over, so you won't understand. So the capital of Elam, right, is in Susiana, and the administrative capital of the Achaemenid king. One of the last kings was Darius. There was a Darius 1 and Darius 2, right? And we won't get into this today, but when the word spoke of the 10 kings, and then you heard like 10 horns, in some biblical scriptures, it represented the 10 kings, right? Darius 1 and Darius 2 was one of the kings, right? So anyway, this particular place, the capital of Elam, it was associated to Darius 1. Darius 1, one of the kings. And so the location of this capital of Elam is 250 miles from the Tigris, Tigris River. So look these up, look these places up. So I'm going to keep going. In the vision, I was beside the Ulai Canal. This is Daniel speaking. So the Ulai Canal, just so you all know, remember I said it was a place. So the Ulai Canal today, they call it the Bab, B-A-B, L-E-L, Mandib, Manibdid. The spelling has been changed a bit, okay? But this Ulai Canal is called the Bab el Mandib, right? What does that name mean? It's got to have some type of fanatical, uh, linguistical connection. So Band Ab Mandab means gateway. Bab, B-A-B means gateway. And so why did they call this canal the Bab el Mandab? They called it the gateway of tears. And why did they call it the gateway of tears? Let me give you just a little bit of information before I tell you why. This canal, they also call it a strait, derives its name from the dangers because this canal, they say, is kind of difficult to navigate. Or, according to the Arab legend, what happened with this band at Mandeb, right? This gateway of tears, as the Arabs called it. What happened was there were lots and lots of people. It's a legend, right? They tell the story of a lot of people who were drowned by an earthquake. And when this earthquake came, this earthquake separated Asia and Africa. So if this is in research, what is essentially saying is Asia and Africa used to be connected. Hello, you all better hear me now. It said this was an Arab legend. It said there was an earthquake, right? This earthquake happened, and what happened with this earthquake, it separated two physical locations. It separated Africa and it separated Asia. And when this earthquake happened, it made this canal, this opening, right? So these nations that were once solidified together, they separated from the earthquake, and it caused this canal to be made, this gateway of tears. And so the Arab legend says that when that happened, a lot of people fell into the water when the land separated. Okay? Now, stay with me. Now, supposedly, because remember, things get changed over, things get switched. Now, I'm just offering my opinion based on what the research said. So, supposedly, what happened when y'all parted the Red Sea during the Exodus, right? There was a Red Sea rift, right? So, scientifically, the information that I researched said this thing that's scientifically researched, it's scientific fact, it's you can look it up. It's called the Red Sea Rift. So what is the Red Sea Rift? The Red Sea Rift is a spreading center between two tectonic plates. The two tectonic plates is the African plate, Africa, and the Arabian plate on the Asia side, right? And so where is this plate? This plate, this opening. This opening extends from the Dead Sea transform fault system, and it ends at the intersection with the Aden Ridge and the East African Rift. Look up these places. So it sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo to a lot of people, right? Me not actually being a person, a geographical person, a geologist, and all of these things, it's new information to me. But I tend to keep going on and researching, right? So I wanted to know these places and what is this, right? What are they talking about? And so here it's talking about this thing that happened. And when this thing happened, it parted the Red Sea. And where is this place? It said it was at where the Dead Sea started, right? And so it's this fault. When we think about a fault, it may be like running waters that come down, right? And so where did this rift happen? It happened because when the Arab legend talk about Asia and Africa separating, then here was the same location it's talked about with the Red Sea Rift. Why did we get confused? Because they started changing the names, right? But it nevertheless it said this place called the Aden Ridge and the East African Rift. So what happened when the earthquake supposedly came? It formed something called the AFAR triple, AFAR triple. The AFR triple is a junction, right? Junction means two places that connect. Where is this junction? It's in the AFAR depression. Depression meaning an indentation, a place that's sunken in the Horn of Africa, right? This place is in Egypt. Why is the research saying Africa and Egypt? Why are they saying that? We were taught that Africa is Africa, Egypt is Egypt. We were never taught that Asia and Africa were once together. We weren't taught these things. But here it is in plain sight in the research. Hallelujah. Okay? It's part of your confusion, Yuda. All right? I'm going to keep going. So this rift opens and it spreads 1 centimeter each year, right? So this Arab legend said when these people fell in the water, right? When these people fell in the water as a result of this opening of this Red Sea, right? Every year since then, since this biblical history we heard about, even in this time of now, this opening keeps opening up 1 centimeter each year, 1 centimeter each year. And so here, this is what the research says. It says it's possible that one day Africa will break off from Arabia. Hmm. Were you taught that Africa was Arabia? Were you taught Africa is Egypt? Then let me pull something from what I just said to you. It talked about the Dead Sea. Even if you don't know the word, you don't know scriptures. When you hear the word Dead Sea, what comes to mind? The Dead Sea Scrolls. Dead Sea Scrolls. What are the Dead Sea Scrolls? Go look it up. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of it today. But the Dead Sea Scrolls were where some boys were at this place, this fault, where there was running water and ridges, and they were skipping rocks, and they were throwing rocks, and they were listening to the rocks skipping in the water. And all of a sudden, they were listening to a certain sound that it makes when you skip rocks off the water. And all of a sudden, they heard a different sound. And when they went to figure out, hey, you hear that? We don't hear that same sound anymore. And that's where they were supposed to found the Dead Sea Scrolls. And so the Dead Sea Scrolls were supposed to have been the an artifact, original artifact of trans. It's not transcribed, but it was a written document in some form of the instructions the Most High wanted us to have that were written down originally. It's supposed to be. That's what the Dead Sea Scrolls really are. Instructions on how to live right. And so the 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 information that's out there, it factually says now that the Dead Sea Scrolls actually exist. But who has them? Does a museum have them? Who has this information if it really exists? Because if you knew that there was actually written instructions that still exist from a time that people question, wouldn't it make you do things differently if you knew there was actually written instructions? That all the things that we heard about on the Ten Commandments and thou should not do this and thou should do that, all these things, wouldn't it validate some of those things? And if you knew that some of those things exist, wouldn't you try to live better and do better? It's the validation that matters for a lot of people. It's the tangible that matters for a lot of people. And so when you have to question these tangible things exist, all you have to go on is your faith and your belief in your intangible things. You're just going to believe into something. This where they took that aspect and they started building religions. But we're not going to show them anything. We're going to get them a little bit here and a little bit there, some tangible stuff, so they can believe this over here, they can believe this religion here, and they can believe this religion here. And we just give them just enough. We got them hooked. We got their thinking hooked. Thus, religions were built, developed. That's what happened, Yuda. That's what happened, God's people. All right. So getting back to these Dead Sea Scrolls. And this thing gonna come around it. We're gonna continue this on day 21. So please come back. Right. So let's get back talking about these scrolls and this place. Right. And so when we get back, I'm talking about this canal. Right. And so here is some factual information. Factual meaning it was researched. Right. I don't know that it's actual fact because I wasn't there, but nevertheless, the research information is there. And so it talked about this canal again. So there was a man-made Suez Canal, right, which opened in 1869. So this canal, it was man-made, right? The legend was talking about how this was naturally made, but then man came and made one in 1869. And when they made this canal created a link between the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. Where was this canal, this man-made canal called the Suez, Suez Canal that they opened in 1869? It's in Egypt. It's like near the sea gulf of, Aden or Yemen. Debutai near Etria, right? Etria. Um, it's near the Strait of Hormuz, Hormuz, near the Persian Gulf. So it started giving all these links to this area that's actually the same place, but it started pointing out different like locations in the same area. Again, it's in Egypt near the Sea Gulf of Aden, near Yemen. Is Yemen Egypt, but nevertheless the information said it. Debatai near Atria. Debatai is spelled Djibouti. Atria, Eritrea. Also it mentioned the Strait, Strait of Hormuz. Hormuz, Hormuz, near the Persian Gulf. Remember, I'm going back just a little bit. One of the questions that was in the research, it said if this research keeps happening, I mean, if this drift keeps happening, where this opening, this naturally made opening, keeps opening up 1 centimeter a year, people are saying that eventually it may be so that it opens so much up that Africa is going to break off from Arabia. When the previous earthquake, Asia and Africa broke off, supposedly. Is this not the same thing, or is it a different location that's going to separate? It's for question. Okay. Now, let me keep going. Getting back to this dream of Daniel. Daniel said, I looked up, and there before me was a ram with two horns. standing beside the canal, and the horns were long. One of the horns was longer than the other, but grew later. So then I started to wonder, and I did some research, right? Because remember we talked about who the ram was and who the goat was and the influence, right? So I'm just going to elaborate on that. So when it talked about a ram, right, in the research, the ram, the bear, and the bull were all symbolic, right? They were tied in together in research. The ram, the bear, and the bull, right? The one significant common factor when I kept seeing these three symbols, these animal symbols tied in together, was that the ram, the bear, and the bull threatened the flock. These three symbolic animals, the common factor that kept coming up in all different kind of research is that these three animals threaten the flock. Now, the ram, when Daniel's vision talked about those horns on the ram being two different sizes, here is the interpretation. The ram, in different heights of the ram's horns, what does it symbolize? Because everything is symbolic or parabolic, right? Parables. The ram's horn is two nations. It represents two nations of people working together. When it said in the vision that one horn was longer than the other and the other grew up later, this is what it was saying by interpretation. Here's two horns that Daniel saw on the ram's head. One horn was longer than the other. These still were two people that were working together. Basically saying the horn that was longer, one was in power, and the other had less power, right? And so then Daniel is still having this vision. He's interpreting it. He said, I watched the ram as it charged toward the west and the north and the south. Didn't say the east, right? He said, no animal could stand against this ram. No one could take the power away from the ram. And so, because of this power this ram had, it kept getting exceedingly great. It kept growing and getting bigger and getting more power and strength. Now, when I said, well, let me look up nations that have symbols like mascots, right? Of rams, bears, or bulls. So let me show you what I came up with. So when I started looking up the nations that have these symbols for their nation, it associated me to geographical locations. And so here are the nations, the places geographically, and then I'm going to tell you the people, because everything, when the Most High speaks of people, it's about nations and it's about people. That's what Havala is. When you see the word Havala or the Most High speaks of people, it's also speaking of nations. So you must associate so you can understand, right? In the perception of the scriptures. So here, this ram, this bear, and this bull, where is the geographical location associated? Where is it? It's Ethiopia, it's Egypt, Persia, Kush, which is, okay, Indonesia, Yemen, Arabia, Iran, Middle East, Caucasus, Central Asia, Iraq, Syria, Turkey, Armenia, Tehran, Asufan, Hamadan, and Switzerland. So that's the geographical locations that I associate to the ram, bear, and the bull based on the research. So who are these people of these places I just mentioned? These are the people, the nations, right? The Egyptians, the Persians, the Medes, Sudanesians, Armenians, Syrians, who are also known as the Assyrians in the biblical history, the Medes, and the Kurds. So these people that, with their locations, that fall under the ram, bear, and the bull are the ones I just mentioned. That's who they are. That's who they are. Okay? Let me keep going. As I was thinking about this is still Daniel interpreting his dream. As I was thinking about this, suddenly a goat with a prominent horn between his eyes came from the west. Remember when Daniel was saying he saw the ram running to the west, running to the north, running to the south. So here's Daniel interpreting this dream. As I was thinking about this, suddenly a goat with prominent horn from between its eyes came from the west. In comes this goat. When I saw this goat, the goat seemed to be coming, but it wasn't touching this ground. It was walking, but it wasn't touching the ground. Something about this goat. As the goat came toward the two-horned ram that I'd seen standing beside the canal, it, the goat started charging at the ram. I saw the goat attack the ram furiously. The goat struck the ram, and when it struck the ram, it shot at the two horns on the ram. Who is the GOAT? You all hear the saying, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the GOAT. People say that, right? So, who is the greatest of all time? Who is the GOAT? So, just like the ram, the bear, and the bull, I wanted to find out what nations have a goat as symbolic for a goat in their information. So, who was the GOAT? The Macedonians. The Macedonians were often tabulated as ethnic Bulgarians. So they claim these are Macedonian people biblically, but they claim a minority status. They're Bulgarians. And then there are a few thousand other people, the Armenians, the Russians, and the Greeks. They, that's those people. That's those people. Now, the two horns were all these people I just mentioned that are with these locations, all these people that I just mentioned, these nations, these people, they had great wealth. Hello, they had great wealth, and Iraq's great previously. You all stay with me and listen to this. So these two collective nations or groups of people, hello, they began to fight each other. Symbolic, this ram and this goat began to fight each other. But these people that fell under these symbols, they began to fight each other. They fought each other. All of them were wealthy, and all of them had influence, and they they lived great. But then they began to fight each other. And so during the fight, the ram was powerless, couldn't stand against the goat. The goat knocked it to the ground, and the goat started walking all over it. And no one could rescue the ram from the goat. They were fighting so much. No one could come in and help the ram. The goat, as a result of the fight, became very great. But then, at the height of the goat's power, as they were fighting, that large horn was broken off of the goat, right? And when the goat with the horn came broke off, it up came four horns instead of the one again, right? And so what was symbolic of the four horns? The four horns grew up toward the winds of the heaven. And when we speak of the winds of the heaven, we're talking about north, east, south, west. And so here, I wanted to know, what was those four horns? What did it mean when I wanted to interpret it? I wanted to understand those horns. What are those horns? So the four horns that regrew on the goat represent the four kingdoms. And so when Alexander, there was a person called Alexander, right? Look this up. When Alexander died, his empire split into four kingdoms. And so when he died, when his empire split into four kingdoms, there were four people that came to take over when he died. Alexander, right? The word doesn't say Alexander the Great, but when you all look it up, you may see that because the word does not give credit to any man. So it just called him Alexander. So When Alexander died, the four generals took over the kingdoms, right? And so those represented the horns on the goat's head, right? And four notable horns came up. Now, the four generals are synonymous to the four wings of a fowl in Daniel's dream. So remember, Daniel had another dream when he talked about four beasts. These four beasts also are the four horns. They're the same thing. It's just in a different dream. Daniel kept having the same dream with different symbols in it, but the perception was kind of the same. Even though he kept having the same dreams, the end result and the outcome of the dream was the same. Okay? Now, the four generals that took over, remember, it represented the different directions, northeast, southwest. So, who was the name of the first general in one direction? His name was Cassander. Cassander took over Europe. Then there was another one called Lysichimus. He took over Asia Minor, which is called modern day Turkey. Ptolemy, Ptolemy, took over Egypt. That was in another direction. And Seleucus took over Asia. That was in another direction. He took over Asia, Babylon, and Syria, right? So these four generals who had great territory, right? And had this expansive boundaries, right? They had all these places that they had power over. Hello? Remember that scripture that I started. This thing is coming full circle today, right? Because the Most High said, "This is not a war of 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 flesh and blood. This is a war of principalities, and people and places in high authority are going to come down, right, during this battle." We're speaking symbolically of this same thing. These people with these high authority and authority over places, right, coming down. It's the same thing. We're talking about Europe. We're talking about Egypt. We're talking about Asia, Babylonia, Syria, Turkey. We're talking about these places prophetically, right? Now, so associated to these four horns, out of them came another horn, right? So there was a small horn that came out of one of those horns. It's almost like an ingrown toenail, right? This horn started small, but it grew in power to the south and to the east and toward the beautiful land. This horn, this ingrown horn, it grew until it reached the host of the heavens. It threw some of the starry hosts down to the earth and trampled on them. This horn became so big and great, it set itself up to be as great as the commander of the army of the Lord. This horn became so great that it thought it could take away the daily sacrifices from the Lord and throw down the sanctuary of the Most High. So, what did this horn do essentially? It rebelled against the Creator. This horn rebelled against the Creator, right? And in rebelling against the Creator, it started a war against Judah and Yah's people. Hello? And when it did that, what it did was the instructions that the Most High had given at some point. He wanted to negate all that. This horn, remember, is about authority now. We're talking about a horn, but let me switch over this word. This this people, this person, this entity is a better word. They became so great that they wanted to negate the Most High, right? And so, in doing this, what happened was because of the rebellion, the Lord's people and the daily sacrifice were given over to this entity, right? The entity prospered in everything it did. And so the truth was thrown away. It was thrown to the ground. There was no more truth because as a result of this entity, right? So if we going back to the idea about the horn, who was that little ingrown horn? So they gave it a name, this ingrown horn. But even though they gave it a name, and I'm going to go back to it for a minute, we're still going to press forward with this information. To identify this little horn, right? When we're thinking about the horns, it's called the Seleucus family. The Seleucus family came one little horn, the Antiochus Epiphanes. What did this family who had this great authority do? They persecuted the Jews. Many Jews were killed as a result of this one particular ingrown family, this family with this ingrown horn who had this power and authority. What they do? What were they known for? They were known for persecuting and killing Jews. I'm gonna keep going into Daniel's dream so we can bring this thing full circle for today because we've been on for a minute. Then Daniel was going back to his dream, and then Daniel said, I heard a holy one speaking. And then another holy one said to him, as if they were in a conversation, said, how long would it take for the vision to be fulfilled? The vision concerning the daily sacrifice, the rebellion that causes desolation, the surrender of the sanctuary, and the trampling underfoot of the Lord's people. So these in this conversation with Gabriel, right? And this other individual, they were having this conversation, and Daniel was there, right? And he said to me, it'll take 2,300 evenings and mornings. Then the sanctuary will be reconsecrated, right? What did that mean? So this Holy One was giving Daniel an interpretation of what these words were meaning. So Daniel was basically saying everything that the Most High set up for Most High's people, the understanding that they had, because these people that came into authority, they came in and changed everything. And in the dream, in Daniel's interpretation, he was basically saying that I saw these things happening. I understood these things had happened. And so when are we going to get back to the way the Most High wanted things to be? When are we going to get back to the way Most High? Because these things had changed. These people had changed these things. These nations, these entities had changed what Most High intended to originally happen. And so when are we going to get back to that? Because I understood as these things had changed, and even now the people want the same. They're rebelling against the Most High. All these things are taking place. And so when are we going to get back to that? And so that man who was in the vision, who they called by name Gabriel, he said it's going to take 2,300 evenings and mornings. And was that man's time? Was that the time that we know? Or was it the encrypted understanding of time? Because we were taught differently from the way it was supposed to be. We were taught that in the morning when we rise and when the sun sets, and then when the sun rises, and then when the sun rises again is a whole day. Versus here, it said a day is in the evening when the sun sets until sunrise was a day. So we were taught differently versus a 12-hour and 24 hours. So we were taught differently, right? And in being taught differently, we were conditioned into a misunderstanding. So we got confused. We're still confused. So when this holy man said it's going to take 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary will be reconsecrated. We never knew when that time came or if it came because we didn't even understand the time. Hallelujah. And we still don't. Some of us. All right, we understand. We're trying to get this thing. Now I'm going to finish this and end for today. Um, bear with me. The interpretation of the vision. So Daniel was still interpreting this vision. And he said, well, I, Daniel, was watching the vision and I was trying to understand the vision. And there before me stood one man who looked like a man. I heard a man's voice calling. I'm just going to repeat some of this information. Gabriel, tell this man the meaning of the vision. As he came near the place I was standing, I was terrified and I fell prostrate. Son of man, he said to me, understand the vision concerns the time of the end. The angel Gabriel, now it's saying he was an angel, right? The angel visited Daniel at the place in Israel, right? Because it said that you're like a nail. Now it's giving you specific information. It's telling you this person, this man that Daniel saw was actually an angel. He was named Gabriel. And he was at a place in Israel, right? Where was the place that he was in? He was at the gateway, which extends to the Red Sea, right? He was at the Man Alda, is a real place. So Daniel was having this vision of this angel standing in Israel, right by the Red Sea. These real places exist. What happened with the Red Sea? Red Sea was where there was the Exodus. I almost wanted to sing that. What happened with the Red Sea? That's where the Exodus took place. Hold on. This thing is coming full circle. You all stay with me. Um, as I came near the place where I was standing, no, I'm sorry. While he was speaking to me, I was in a deep sleep with my face to the ground. So Daniel basically fell out. He passed out. And he said, then he touched me. The angel touched me, and I was raised to my feet. Then the angel said, I'm going to tell you what will happen later in the time of the wrath, because the vision concerns the appointed time of the end. The two-horned ram that you saw represents the kings of Media and Persia. That shaggy goat is the king of Greece. The large horn between its eyes is the first king. The four horns that replace the one that was broken off represent the four kingdoms. Those four kingdoms will emerge from one nation, but it will not have the same power as it regroup. In the later part of their reign, these rebels, they were called, these people, right? Remember, I said they were high people that had authority. So they became rebel. They went against the rules and the instructions of the Most High. I don't want to say laws. So they went against the instructions of the Most High. They became rebels. They caused Yah's people to err. So these rebels they became completely wicked. They had a really fierce looking king. This king was called the master of intrigue, and he's going to rise. This king, he'll become very strong, but not by his own power. This king is going to cause outstanding devastation, and he'll succeed in whatever he does. He'll destroy those who are mighty. He's going to destroy the holy people. He's going to cause people to be deceitful, and as a result of that deceit, people doing deceitful things are going to increase and prosper. And so this king, because he thinks that he's going to be superior, he considers himself superior. And so when they feel secure, he's going to destroy the people and take his stand against the prince of princes. Yet he'll be destroyed, and not by human power. So So let's identify, who is this king, this king, this master of intrigue, this one who went against the instructions of the Most High, the one who started deceit and devastation, the one who fooled the people and misled the people, the one who did all these evil things, right? And think he's better than the Creator. This master of intrigue is Lucifer and all his identities. The Most High allows him to do the will of the Most High, right? He used to actually roll in heaven. He was used to be an angel in heaven, right? So he does have some powers considered authorities, right? Not authorities, but he has some powers. He no longer has the authority, but he still retains some powers, right? And so the Most High allows him to do the will of the Most High. But sometimes we have people who they're doing something wrong, but it still benefits the will of the Most High, right? And so here, this word is saying the Most High allows Lucifer to do the will of the Most High, even though Satan is still operating in his own evilness. Yah is still in control. Then here, we're going to finish this interpretation. This vision of the evenings, remember we got confused with the 2,300 morning and evenings. The vision of the evenings and the mornings that has been given to you is true. But seal up the vision, for it concerns the distant future. It means you weren't supposed to understand the 2,300 evenings and mornings. You weren't supposed to understand it until a certain time. Anyway, and so here it says, Daniel, I was so worn out from seeing this vision. I lay exhausted for several days. Then I got up and I went about the king's business. He was a king, right? He said, I was appalled by the vision. It kept bothering me. But the vision was beyond understanding because I kept reflecting back on it and I couldn't figure out all the parts. Understand this. The Creator adds, and only the sovereign spirit, who is the Creator, can add, and only the sovereign spirit can take away. Understand this. The spirit that made the Creator, the sovereign spirit, is the only one that has the power. Let me reiterate. Let me reiterate. The Most High is always in a power and authority. The Most High's word was in the beginning and it will be enduring to the end. The Most High is the creator and the maker and will be the finisher and the terminator. There is only one sovereign entity, one sovereign spirit that possesses power. Many will come and many will fail. The Most High said, I am the only sovereign spirit that possesses this power to admonish children. You gotta understand this, God's people, Judah. Israel. Israel, you are not an Israelite. Judah, Judaism is not your religion. I'm going to bring you more information to have you understand that. Israel, you are Israel all by yourself. You don't need the ITE. It was never made to be that. The ITE added to Israel was a whole different nation, geographically in a group of people. They added it to identify themselves and differentiate from you. Research the facts. The information is there. Understand who and what is the maker. Yes, there are gods. They call themselves gods. They're deities, physical deities, and they're also spirits. The spirits cannot overtake the that well, I won't say that. That because they can. They come in all forms and fashions. They can, they will, and they do. The work of the Most High is delegated to those that are called and appointed. The work and the evidence of the Most High is in all that is made by the Most High. The Spirit of the Most High is given unto those which is Most High empowers. But it's very clear. It doesn't have to manipulate. It doesn't have to hide, and it doesn't have to deceive. It's in plain sight for you to see it. When you see it, stop saying it's not what it is, because it is. We have become a society that is so confused to the point where when you see evil, you question and say it's not. When you see the work of the Most High and you know it's good, you say it's evil. That thought, that confusion was planted for a time such as now. Those prophetic dreams that Daniel was having were prophetic to this time such as now because the Most High understood the confusion would exist. And so would the adversity. And so would everything that comes behind the manipulation and adversity. The violence, the confusion, the misleading, all of these things that come behind the confusion. It's in this time. Stop saying it's not that. It is. The only way that you're going to fight against. What's coming for you is to have knowledge and have understanding and the same belief that you have, that you believe into whatever you do. If it's not of the Most High, it's the same thing. You're choosing to believe in what you want. You don't need convincing from anyone for you to have faith into whatever you believe. It's the same thing no matter what religion you have. When we hear the word God is associated to Christianity, it's labeled. When we see certain words, we associate them to religion. People ask me for years, why do I say Yah? And I say it's short for Yahweh. And I kept looking up. What was Yah, Yeshua? What religion was it associated to? It was never associated to, unless I have unless somebody put it there recently. But in all my research as of the last 2 years, didn't associate Yahweh to any religion. It's associated to an origin of Hebrewism, Hebrew. It didn't associate to religion. And when everything I see, all things Hebrew, it associates to an original, like a blueprint. And so a lot of things were created from this blueprint. If you associate yourself to different identities, right? And you are confused as to who you are, you need to come back and get this hidden word, because your confusion was on purpose. You weren't supposed to know who you are. We're never supposed to find out because it was all part of the plan. Please come back. Please come back. I thank the Most High for coming into the room. I thank the Most High for opening up the hearts and the minds of your people. And for those that came in and for those that shared, and please continue to share, Most High. Put it in the hearts and minds of men to touch the button, to spread your word, even if it's a seed in a conversation, even if it's passing by somebody at the store, that your word goes forth, that this message be embellished and expounded. I thank you for your glory. It is an honor to serve you, Most High. I ask that you strengthen me and all of those that are called to do the work, and you provide a level of protection over them and around them always. And for that those who are babes in the word, that they began to get an understanding. And for those who are in rebellion of you, that they still continue to fall down in the great falling away. And at the same time, that the awareness of who you are and whose we are be embellished. Give you all the glory and honor in your name. Hallelujah. Thank you guys, people, for coming in. Please like and share. Please look for me on day 21. I'm on YouTube as well, and it's called Revelations uh, Teleconference Group. Alicia Ananiah Elda, for I'm called that for the word. Venture, that's me. That's me. Thank you all for coming in. In the meantime, blessings over you and all that you do. Peace, love, and light.